So the way that it started out is I was introduced to Alan Devine. He was the manager of the Innovation Center at the time, and he is now TELUS's Chief Dreamer. So there is a title that many of us would aspire to. He earned that title aptly. He is a very, very astute man, very creative, very good thinker. And as we were going through the innovation, they were under construction for their headquarters in Vancouver. And as we were going through their headquarters, which was a complete construction site, Alan was saying, oh, I'd like to see this, I'd like to see that, I want to have this, can we do that? So we went through and we had about 12 different ideas that he had. When finally we come to one point and he says, I want people's first experience when they walk into this place to be something completely different, something that nobody's ever seen. Can you do something digital with doors? And I looked at him and I said, sure, why not? Because, you know, if you can conceive it, you can create it, right? So he said, let's do something interesting with the doors, let's make it digital, let's make the content something which will surprise and delight people and set the tone for the Innovation Center so that people, when they walk in, understand that they're coming into a place which is truly different. And so we went to task and we built these doors. These doors were actually built in 2014. So the process was rather interesting because we didn't have the advantage of today's technologies, which are the ultra-thin OLEDs, the transparent OLED displays, 4K cameras which are teeny tiny, never mind multiple cameras which you can use so you can get perspective with them. None of this existed. In 2014, you know, they say size matters. Well, it matters, and for a change, bigger is not better. So we had these nice thick displays, you know, 1.5 inches, 2 inches thick, which we now exploded or took apart, voiding any warranty, of course, and managed to put together again, back to back. So we have 2 displays, so the doors are back to back. We managed to make the displays fit in. So that was the first challenge. The thickness of the doors is about 1.5 inches, about the thickness of my finger, so they're very small. The second challenge was to make them look like proper doors because TELUS is an extremely elegant organization with great values, and their Leeds building had an aesthetic by Adams & Associates, fantastic architecture. So we had to make sure that the doors fit in with the doors for the rest of the building. They could not look different. So that was the second challenge, make them thin enough and make them work. Of course, they also had to be fire rated. And they had to work. So, yeah. I'm going to list off for you a series of challenges we had. First of all, the displays themselves. Okay. They were too big, they were too thick. The second part, of course, is the processors. Processors in those days were really quite substantially large. Even the Intel NUCs which we used, which fortunately had enough graphics card processing, had to be hidden at the side of the doors or at the top of the doors. So this led to the next challenge, which was, of course, cabling. Because once you explode these displays, you have to power them and you have to make sure that their AD boards and all of their other communication devices are secreted properly, but they also have to then tap into the processors. So the cabling issue became a really, really big challenge for us. Then you have the fact that we integrated cameras and touch. The touch in those days was predominantly all sorts of forms of IR. And we actually integrated, and PCAP was way, way too expensive. Nobody could do a 55-inch PCAP, not custom in those days. So we wound up actually finding a company called Flat Frog, and they wound up having a fantastic through-glass touch system, which we put in. So all of those things we came through with quite well. The door hinges were really, I think, a bit of a work of genius because the doors have been working now for 5 years without fail. So we're quite pleased with that. The content for the doors had 3 objectives. One was to surprise and delight. One was to keep up with what people need to know. And the third one was to establish credibility. The surprise and delight was basically an augmented reality experience where it would be very much like people have seen that Pepsi commercial where you see something come up, you think you're looking through a door, but it's actually someone walking towards you. You see them with a camera, and some lovely event happens. The second one is useful content. So to that end, we have things like a calendar of events, upcoming events, and that's more of the digital signage component. And then the third one is just basically seasonal content, which is sometimes augmented reality, sometimes based on gesture, because we have 2 cameras, remember, one facing on either side of the door. So the cameras can either face you when you first approach the doors, in which case you can, wave away this frosted window and embrace change, or you can walk up to the door and you can tap the the weekend card, and you can have an augmented reality experience with somebody on the other side when the camera's set up to plug into the other side of the door. Our team is a very, very interesting group of people. They're they're highly intelligent. They're really a remarkable bunch of intelligent people, all with very, very different backgrounds. So nobody was actually in technology or in digital signage to begin with. So when they come together at a table and they start thinking about things and coming up with ideas, they're really quite fun and quite off the charts. So we always take direction from the client in terms of what their objectives are. The why is really important. Why do you want to have doors? What do you want them to do? And then we think about how we can create that experience within what the client's results are going to be, right? So Keith said, I need something now which is going to help me more in terms of promoting events. I need something so that people know what's coming. So we put a calendar of events on. I need it so I can manage it myself without a headache. I need it so that the content always looks elegant. So we just take whatever request he has and we try and make it work for him. Trends in the industry. I've noticed, at least at DSE, this year, the content is actually remarkably good. We've been coming to DSE since you started, and the shift in content from its inception to today is significantly different. So much improved. It's just fantastic. It's fantastic to see. I think one of the things that the DSE has actually done for us, which has been very, very beneficial, is it's allowed us to make a lot of friends and partners. So although technically a lot of the people that we work with are actually our competitors, we actually work together on projects, which is, I think, a very interesting and unique scenario in the business world. And that gives me a lot of pleasure. I think that's the right way for humanity to move forward.